Hello, everyone. This is James Daniel coming from California, West Los Angeles. New Year's Eve. Happy New Year, everyone. Sorry I'm forced out into the outer space of the side of a building because of New Year's Eve, family, and everybody piling around, which is great. That's life. I want to do a short podcast today to keep continuity going. The Love Foundry is settling itself down into a reliable source for empowering your life with love. Partly for two reasons. One, because we know how to do that. And secondly, because we want to do that in a way that you can have a place you can go to. Now, we have a website which you can come to, and we have our podcasts, and we have other social media. So this is growing into what will become a reliable place, because it's not a simple thing to empower your life with love, and we need to go back. Our entire podcast series is done and will be defining itself in 2025 in a far more specific manner than we have been. We've been sort of just warming it up. But it will be a workshop format, which means that when you come to us to join a podcast, it will be for the purpose of doing this, empowering your life, which means that you have to take your action to do it. No one's going to empower your life with love but you. Love will do it with you, but not for you. We have to take the steps. That's how the game is rigged. That's what must happen to humanity, each of us and all of us as a group, which is going to work out, as crazy as it might sound, to ask humanity to empower itself with love when it doesn't have any idea what it actually is. Sounds a little far-fetched, but love has it worked out. So it's going to work. So each of our podcasts is going to be in the form of something for you to link to, open up to, and receive empowerment from. Not some intellectual explanation of how love works or any of that kind of thing. There is information. It does appeal to the intellect. But the purpose of the podcasts is to empower you. And that requires your interaction with it. So set yourself up to experience that way. If you watch a rodeo, you're not there to think about it and judge it. You're just enjoying watching a rodeo. So empowering yourself with love is an interactive event in that you open up your inner awareness. You receive the concentration of love into your heart environment, your head environment. You set aside all judgments and prejudices about it all that the human race has cooked up in all of its religious foundings and arguments, and just let the process occur. You're built for it. You're designed for it. You're inevitably going to do it. So we might as well take a start on it. And the year of 2025 is the year of actually opening this up in humanity in a way that it becomes a recognizable thing. It becomes something we realize is available. We can avail ourselves of it. And it's not as complicated as it looks. And you don't have to be great at it to have love support you in it. Love is a perfect power of nature, and it will support you in what you're doing while you're committed to empowering yourself with it. So that's going to be going on in 2025, and we're going to be narrowing it down. We're going to be gathering some more energy around us and more people who are competent at it. There are actually quite a few people in the world who get this and are working at it, and they're working at it in a positive and creative and successful way. It's just with 9 billion people on the planet, they can get lost in the shuffle. But they're going to come rising to the surface. They're going to come out into the public where they will be recognized, realized, and then we can begin to build this process. So, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being part of the world's salvation process. This empowering ourselves with love is going to happen in the United Nations. I know there's a lot of people think that's a useless outfit, should be scrapped and gotten rid of, but you can see if that would lead to no hope whatsoever. It is far better to just grow it up. We don't reject children because at 3 or 4 years old, they're just in their terrible twos and they don't know how to do anything really worthwhile. So we don't get rid of them. We grow them. We grow them up into responsible people. So this is going on with some of the organizations in the world, like the United Nations, and it will continue. And it is the obligation of those nations which are successful or have resources to support that process. And in it, you're going to begin to see really powerful and responsible people who are coming to the fore, coming forward to support it, coming forward to demonstrate love in it. Should not be a surprise. It should not be anything remotely like, I wonder what's going on here. This should be expected, realized, understood, and brought forward into human experience and expression. That's what we're here to do personally and individually. And if there's any group that wants the specific help of what we can offer, then we're here for that too. In the coming months, in 2025, we're going to set up some programs for helping groups and individuals develop a practical process to bring this forward into your realized expression. And if we start right, and if we stay with it, then it's going to grow dynamically. Now take a moment and think about this in a practical way. Because love has been invisible does not mean it's not here. Air is invisible, but we keep breathing it in hopes that it will continue that way. Love is here. There'll never be any more love than there is right now. Like gravity. Gravity doesn't increase as the days go by. It's all here. Fortunately, it's working quite well. But love is here too, and it is working. But if it's not in your consciousness, if you're not aware of it, then it doesn't exist for you until something bumps you and makes you aware of it. So part of the process of empowering yourself with love is to make yourself aware of it. Put it in your heart. I don't care how you do it. See it there. See a light there. See a candle there. See a little heart there glowing. Whatever it takes, put it there. And if you make that talisman, your visualization, your imagery of it, a symbol of love, then love will join it. It will join it. You can put it in your head. You can put the Buddha's presence in your mind as perfect mind, drawing love into itself with compassion. Or you can make it a Christ issue in the heart. You can put the Christ in your heart. You can put the Christ consciousness in your heart. There's a number of ways you can go at this, and we can offer a number of the suggestions for it. But as you begin to see it broadcasting out of you, you begin to visualize and imagine it, don't think it's not happening simply because your inner senses aren't fully aware of it yet. You will become aware of it. Children, when they're born, don't know anything about the environment they're in. It just is all a blur. It's all just stuff moving around in the space, people shouting at them, laughing at them, talking to them. changing their diapers. They don't know what's going on. But as they go, as time progresses, they begin to sort out that this consistent image is mom. This consistent image is dad. They don't know mom and dad. They just know she's feeding me. I'm getting sustained. She's cuddling me, hugging me, giving me love. And so I'm going there. I'm building up my relationship to that. Well, the outer senses have to sort themselves out into a world that is understandable and knowable. And we do that as we grow up. The inner senses are no different. They have to open up, they have to make themselves familiar with the subtler energies that exist in the world of love, in the kingdom of love, in the place where love fully encompasses everything, and the place from which we all came when we were born. And this is beginning to prove itself in the world in every way. Quantum mechanics will prove the science of it. Telepathy will include the reality of it. We will begin to know. We'll begin to become conscious of what's going on there in that world of love. It's fully populated, it's fully active, it's fully dynamic. If we're not aware of it, does that make it not exist? No, it only doesn't exist for us. And in fact, if you look at the phenomenon that's going on now with the telepathy tapes, you'll see that this whole science of understanding autistic children connecting telepathically with one another around the world is already going on. Now, understanding what's going on in that particular environment, why they are who they are, and why they are struggling the way they are, and why they're succeeding the way they are, is just part of what's unfolding. It's all beginning to unfold because 2025 is coming towards us, and that means that love is coming towards us. In the eternal now, it's all one thing, simultaneously happening. In our environment, we've divided it out to past, present, and future. So we've experienced the past without love, and we've formed the human ego and the human condition basically without any inner commitment to and empowerment of love in our conscious awareness. Not in the world, because the world's full of it. But if we're not conscious of it or aware of it, what difference does it make? Well, turns out it makes a lot of difference because life is keeping track of everything. Keeping track of consciousness, is keeping track of the energy uses that we make, is keeping track of every single act. And this creates the whole judgment idea that religions have cooked up, the consequences idea of philosophy, and the karma idea of the East. The whole concept of karma is a management system of energy. Now, we're not going to get deep into that today because this is a day for celebration and enjoying the release of that which was and the taking up of that which will be. And make certain that in this year coming, taking up love is a part of your desire, your wish to be. Because if it is, it will happen. That's the first step of it. You have to want it. And if you want it, and if you take simple steps to take it up into your life and make yourself conscious of it, there it's going to start being. It's going to start being noticeable to you. Now, it'll be a long time before the entire human race as a group is doing this, but we will, because everything starts with one. And you're that one in your environment, in your place. One radiant point of love in the human race is a powerful thing. Depending on how many inner world beings you relate to consciously, that power is exponential. If you're talking about the Buddha, you're talking about the Christ, you're talking about others like that, there's an enormous amount of inner accumulated power in their world because they're conscious of it. The moment we make them a part of our life, then our radiance increases. This is not illogical, it's common sense. Add 10 powerful magnets to one little magnet, and what happens to the magnetic field of that little magnet? It grows into something big. The little magnet's still tiny, but all those other magnets supporting its magnetic field make it huge. This is the nature of love. It's the nature of unity. That's just one of the powers of love. Grace is another power of love, which increases in the lives of those who experience it. Transformation and transmutation is happening to us when we're holding love in our being. And we're invoking it in others by the simple presence of it in ourselves. We can't force someone else into it. Love won't do that. But by holding it dynamically, magnetically, you're inviting others to it. And they have then an option to respond to that magnetic feeling, that sense of joy, that sense of peace, of strength, of creativity. And if they do, it starts to grow in them. So these are things that are true. And we know they're true when we prove them in our experience. Putting forth the effort to prove it in your experience requires an act of faith. That's what faith is. I'm pretty certain that it's there. I'm pretty certain that if I do some things, it will become powerful and strong and radiant in me, and then I can begin to offer it. Having a little faith in that and taking action on that faith is going to produce that result. Now, you can look at it and say, oh, God, that might take a long time to benefit me or benefit anyone else. But there's another thing that we have that can shorten that time to that close, and that is commitment. Commitment is a powerful and dynamic thing, as is faith, as is patience, as is everything. Harmlessness. Harmlessness is not just not hurting something. It is a condition of increasing non-harm in the environment, which is something that Gandhi demonstrated, that the Quakers respect. This power to create harmlessness, this power to create patience, this power to create love in our expression. It's there. And commitment is like laying the span of a bridge across a gulf. I'm committing myself to be on the other side. Then nature can join you. It joins your commitment. It joins your creative intention to link to love, to increase the power, regardless of what you have to do that, which is a number of things. You have to stop hating love. You have to stop pushing it away. You have to stop judging everybody. You have to stop acting as if love were not important, as if it were not a great creative power. You have to stop that. Ego does that. Ego doesn't value love because it knows nothing about it. If your ego had been built out of love, you would have tremendous respect for it. You would take it into account, just the way we do intelligence. We value intelligence. We don't always use it wisely, but we value it. We value will. We have it. We can do things, but we don't always use it wisely. We don't always use it lovingly. But we can also value love. We can have faith in its power. We can commit ourselves to increasing it in our life and balancing it with will and intelligence until you have a triad flowing and circulating will, love, and intelligence in ourselves, with an emphasis on love, because that's where we need this. That's what we need to bring up to balance, to bring into increase. So we're going to do that. It's a scientific process, It's a spiritual process. It's a loving process. You can make a religion out of it if you want to serve the value of love. That's all a religion is a system for strengthening something that we care about. When it's strong, we no longer need it, do we? You don't have to do that. You don't have to make a religion out of something. You can just simply do it. So hold this radiance in your heart. Just hold the radiance of love in your heart as if it were real. One of the great spiritual masters said there's enormous power in acting as if. Can you sense the power of doing that? Acting as if love were radiating out of your heart, because it already is. The only thing that's going to change is your consciousness of it, which then makes it a dynamic activity in your life, which can bring enormous change and positive balance into our lives. So if we do that individually, it'll begin to create those light places on the planet where people see that that's working, and others join it, and it becomes a group light. And then it begins to connect to other places on the planet that are doing it, and we have a grid of light. They talk about this planetary grid of light like a buckyball that's got all of these geodesic dome centers. That'll happen. That'll happen in the planetary body, in the etheric body of the planet, and then those lights will begin to grow and become significant. And those places in the world where light is needed, people will go to and start building that light. Not trying to change everybody, not trying to erase everybody else's beliefs, not trying to get everybody to quit eating taro or meat or whatever it is we're trying to do. It's noble that we try to do those things, but they don't increase love. Pushing people around and trying to manipulate them and create outcomes for them doesn't increase love. We've seen that, and we've seen how we rejected doing that to people, doing it to each other. Just build the love. Love knows. Love knows what to do to make your life a joyful thing. Feel that. Feel that power flowing out of you. That's going to increase all the way through 2025. And great centers of life and love and power are going to appear in the world because we need them. It might be a while before it appears in the middle of the UN because you've got 100 and some odd nations that have to agree on it. But it can start in your home. It can start in your neighborhood. And it doesn't have to be this religion or that religion. It can be any. Centers of Muslim concentration can be great centers of love if we wish them to be. Centers of Christian focus can be great centers of love if we wish them to be. Hindu centers, Buddhist centers, or just groups of people focusing on the joy of love. This is all growing and connecting together and realizing that the one thing that unifies us all into love is love. So have a great New Year's Eve. Let go, because the past, if it's that far away from us, no longer exists. A second or a million years, it no longer exists. We are in the now. And while we might remember what was some time ago, it's gone. The only energy of life there is in the right now moment. And because love is in that moment fully, that's there with you. The future, that's a potential, but it's a potential in the now. The future doesn't become the now until it does. You can build towards the future, putting money in the bank. But it's now. It's in the bank now. So these things become real to us as we grow into them. But growing into love is to grow into the now, because that's the only place love ever lives. It never lives in the past. It never lives in the future, because those two places don't exist. Only now exists. But in the eternal now, there is that which was, the vibration fading out. There is that which is coming into vibration. And then there's the vibration you're experiencing right now. So we don't eliminate past and future in the now. They become one single event of different magnitude, different durations. It changes our entire focus, and the now becomes a moving moment, a living moment. And everything that really lives there with us. So even though we're passing from 2024 into 2025, the now is what's moving. And the interesting thing, there's many interesting things, which we will discuss, because if you're going to incorporate love into your life, you need to know the things that we have learned about love. And numerology, just the numbers of things, is part of it. And reducing speech, or the alphabet, or the sounds of things like A, B, C, D, E, F. It's the sound of things. Just creates vibration, producing things. Things are what their word is. Gold is a creation of the vibration. Now, if we value Pythagoras, who created a bit of geometry back in the days of the Greeks, and thereby opened up humanity's understanding of geometry, just as the Persians did algebra. If we value him for the scientist he was, then we have to give due consideration to the numerology that he demonstrated in his mathematical genius. So don't be quick to decide something is or isn't real. Open up to what it is, because we've captured love and rejected it through all of these methods of saying, I don't believe in that, I don't believe in that, I don't believe in that. Unbelief kills reality. That doesn't mean we blindly believe in everything. We don't. We stop and say, that might be true. We'll see if it matures into truth or whether it falls away as fantasy. But we don't attack it with unbelief. Give yourself some room, because so much of love in the world is walled away behind unbelief. Unbelief in God, unbelief in love, unbelief in Christ, unbelief in the Buddha, unbelief in anything that ever came our way that we didn't quite understand fully, or that some mechanical material scientist didn't get and didn't know how to explain to us, so we rejected it because he said, I don't think that's real. That just means that he doesn't see it as a part of the material science that he respects. Science will eventually prove love and everything else that's true. They're relentless that way. They never quit working, but they don't know. They haven't proved the knowingness of it. But we can do that. We are our own scientists. The science of love can be our experiment next year. We can empower ourselves with it and do a tremendous change in our lives. Because once love is incorporated into your knowing, incorporate it into your empowerment, incorporate it into your breath, your daily life. It creates tremendous creative things in your life. This will be obvious. So join us in the great experiment of discovering and recovering love for the human race. And with it, all the credible gifts that love will produce. Change the world by giving it to yourself. Experiment with it, experience it, watch the transformation in your life. Then belief becomes knowing, and knowing becomes power, and power flows out through the love. So thank you for joining us on a New Year's Eve. I'm sorry my other cohorts crime can't be with me here. Seb and Taylor are busy. But we have to be consistent in what we're doing. And if we aren't consistent and we don't produce a foundation for others to build this into their lives, then we are failing because we know it. We know it's true. And that knowing is only transmittable to others through their experience with it directly, then they know. And it's upon the knowing that the entire Aquarian culture will be built. Aquarius relates to knowing the way Pisces related to belief. And we're just moving from belief into knowing. It's a great transition. It's a beautiful transition. So go with the flow, and we'll see you in 2025. Thank you. Enjoy love.